Peggy 12.
My name is Thomas Johansson and I'm the project lead for Europa Universalis IV, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our upcoming expansion called Wealth Nations. The main focus is trade, and one of the things that makes trade great for me is that it really drives directions for conflict, and that's really something that we want to strengthen further. So with Wealth Nations we want to give the player more tools to create conflicts. First of all, we're going to allow you to fabricate a reason for a trade war. And then we're also changing how trade wars work. We're also looking at trade republics. I mean, merchant republics in EU4, they had lots of cool bonuses, but they were always a bit weak because they're really small, like the nation of Venice, for example, just as a coastline. So we figured that, why keep these people around? So we're actually giving them another new bonus. If a merchant republic trades in an area where you own provinces, that's not just a loss for you. Instead, it will also boost production in that province. You will have to feel that how much money do they steal from me and how much production do I get back? So should I fight them or shouldn't I? Another really interesting thing that we're adding for Wealth Nations. In history, people hired privateers to go out and hijack other people's ships, and we figured we can have this too. We added a new mission that you can use your trade ships for that's called privateers. And you send them out on a mission like you do with a trade mission, but instead you send them on a privateer mission. That means that you're not getting so much money, but they're going to be worth about 1.5 twice as much trade power that used to be. So it's a great way for a small nation to hit a bigger nation's trade above their weight, so to speak. Or if there is a part of the map where you can't direct trade back home to you, then that's also something you can do, right? And the final thing I wanted to mention is that we're going to do something called trade companies. And in the previous expansion, in Conquest of Paradise, we added colonial nations where a colonial nation was independent and could create problems for you. They expanded on their own. And we want to do something different with trade companies. So trade companies is something that you have in places like Africa and East India and India and these kind of places, where you assign provinces to your trade company. As you do that, these provinces will be worth much more in trade power, but much less in manpower and taxes. So it's become a way of specializing your trading empire. And then one thing we haven't talked about before that we're adding newly is that when you neighbor nations that are more primitive than you, they can use this and do something we call they can westernize, they can learn new things. But if they're neighboring to a trade company, they can't do that anymore. So your presence isn't so marked in India, for example, if you have a trade company. Like I said, we have mostly trade, but we try to put in other interesting things in our expansion that we feel the game is needing. And what we're doing now is we wanted to make it a little bit more interesting to play nations in India. So what we're doing is that we're adding lots of new events for Indian nations. So if you play a Hindu ruler, you're going to get much more local feeling to the whole thing. And we're also adding a specialized mechanic for the Hindu religion, where you can actually choose which deity to follow, and that's going to have effects on your country. This expansion is not going to be a bit about the big strokes. This one is going to have a lot of different changes. And of course, there's going to be a big patch where we add a bunch of free features at the same time as we release the expansion. And one thing I can tell you about is that we're completely redoing the rival system. Picking rivals is actually something you have to do, but a big choice, because if you don't fight your rivals, that's going to impact you badly, and something that we call your power projection will suffer. The Wealth Nation is going to make trade much more interesting, but it's also going to change the way people play EU4 in a lot of aspects.